The diner sat in a hush, nearly devoid of patrons, when a disheveled man entered, his garments frayed and his expression heavy with fatigue. He paused before settling into the chair, his gaze drifting over the menu, caught between appetite and uncertainty. The young waitress, Emma, spotted him right away. Rather than shying away, she welcomed him with a friendly smile. Unbeknownst to her, the homeless man before her was actually a millionaire, quietly assessing her compassion. What she did next would alter the course of her life in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and let us know your location in the comments. Your support enables us to share more impactful narratives. Let us commence. The cozy diner exuded a welcoming warmth, a stark contrast to the frigid wind that howled outside. Emma, a young waitress with a gentle spirit, glided between tables, skillfully balancing plates with effortless grace. The evening unfolded at a leisurely pace, with only a handful of familiar faces quietly enjoying their coffee and engaging in soft conversations. She cast her eyes toward the door as it slowly creaked open, and a man entered the room. His garments were tattered and threadbare, his footwear cloaked in a layer of dust. His face, etched with fatigue, bore a look of uncertainty as he surveyed the room. Emma observed the subtle tremor in his fingers as he reached for the menu. His uncertainty was clear, his gaze resting on the prices longer than that of the average shopper. She had spent enough time in this diner to spot the telltale signs of someone in distress. While others might have overlooked him or requested his departure, she approached his table with a steadfast, warm smile. "Good evening, esteemed sir. Would you like something to drink?" she inquired softly. The man lifted his gaze, his weary eyes connecting with hers. "Only water, thank you." His voice carried a gravelly quality, suggesting he had been silent for much of the day. Emma nodded and slipped away for a brief moment, only to reappear with a glass of water and a steaming cup of coffee. She placed it before him, silently, without a mention of compensation. He paused momentarily, his fingers hovering over the cup, relishing the comforting heat it offered. He gazed at her, astonishment dancing in his eyes. "You didn't need to do that," he whispered. Emma offered a gentle smile. A warm cup of coffee is a simple pleasure that everyone should experience. She distanced herself to allow him some room, yet her thoughts remained fixated on him. There was an intriguing dissonance between his demeanor and his looks. He neither pleaded nor requested anything, yet his stance exuded a subtle grace. She had assisted numerous troubled customers in the past, yet there was an unmistakable uniqueness about him. The man savored each sip, his fingers drumming lightly on the table as he pondered. He observed Emma in her element, noting how she engaged with each customer, exuding warmth and patience in every interaction. Her actions were free from judgment, and her kindness flowed without hesitation. Upon her return, he paused momentarily before uttering a word. "What do you suggest?" Emma beamed. "The soup made from scratch is truly delightful, and it has a comforting warmth to it. Are you interested in giving it a go?" He cast another look at the menu, then gave a nod of understanding. "That sounds delightful." Emma submitted the order, keeping the cost to herself. As the kitchen bell chimed, she emerged with the steaming bowl, placing it before him with utmost care. "Relish it," she murmured gently. He lifted the spoon to his lips, his eyes fluttering shut for an instant as he relished the flavor. "It's good," he murmured, his voice now softer. Emma observed him as he ate, a wave of serene contentment washing over her. Unfamiliar with his identity or the narrative that shaped him, she found herself drawn to the instinctive urge to assist others. Unbeknownst to her, each little gesture of kindness she had extended was being observed. The man had entered the diner with purpose. His presence held significance, and Emma's life was on the brink of transformation in ways she had never envisioned. Emma pressed on with her tasks, replenishing coffee cups and tidying up tables, yet her thoughts repeatedly wandered back to the man in the tattered attire. Something about him piqued her curiosity. He exhibited a courteous demeanor, spoke gently, and, in spite of his looks, maintained an air of understated grace. She had assisted many customers in need, yet there was an unmistakable uniqueness about him. He was not merely a transient presence. He seemed to be observing, analyzing every detail in his surroundings. She cast a sidelong look and observed him consuming his meal at a leisurely pace, as though relishing each morsel. She observed the way he straightened his back whenever someone passed by, as though he were accustomed to being watched. He noticed her gaze and responded with a subtle, understanding smile. She returned the smile, yet a question hovered in her thoughts. Who was he really? Moments later, she observed him delve into his pocket, searching for something. Her heart plummeted. She had presented him with the soup, leaving the cost unspoken, yet what if he sensed an obligation to compensate? She approached just as he set down a handful of wrinkled bills on the table. "I'll cover it," she said swiftly, pushing the money back toward him. His hand lingered above the money. "That's incredibly kind of you," he remarked, his gaze probing into hers. "What is the reason?" Emma gave a slight shrug. "Simply because I can." He held her gaze for a brief moment, then offered a subtle nod, carefully folding the bills and tucking them away in his pocket. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice softer this time. Emma offered a gentle smile and carried on with her tasks. Unbeknownst to her, that seemingly small gesture of goodwill had ignited a chain reaction far beyond her imagination. The man completed his meal and lingered in silence for a moment, observing Emma as she navigated the diner. Her kindness towards him was profound. She welcomed every customer with genuine warmth, honored each individual with respect, and maintained her composure even when a man at another table snapped his fingers to catch her eye. She navigated every challenge with poise, concealing any hint of irritation. Eventually, the man rose to his feet and made his way to the door. Yet, just before departing, he glanced back one final time. "Wishing you a peaceful night, Emma," he remarked. She paused for an instant. She had never revealed her name to him. Before she had a chance to reply, he swung the door open and vanished into the darkness. Emma lingered for a moment, absorbing the weight of what had just transpired. Her stomach knotted with an unfamiliar sensation, a blend of intrigue and discomfort. Who was he, and what led him to know her name? The remainder of her shift slipped by in a haze. She attempted to dismiss the peculiar meeting, yet an essence of it lingered in her mind. As she finally clocked out and stepped into the brisk night air, her gaze drifted down the street, a part of her anticipating the appearance of the enigmatic man once more. Yet the pavement lay desolate. With a heavy sigh, she wrapped her jacket more snugly around her and began her journey home. Unbeknownst to her, at that precise moment, the same man was ensconced in a lavish hotel suite, placing a phone call that would alter the course of everything. "I located her," he stated into the phone. His voice resonated with confidence and assurance. She remains blissfully unaware of what lies ahead. The following morning, Emma stepped into the diner, her weariness more pronounced than usual. She had devoted the majority of the night to pondering the enigmatic figure. There was an unsettling quality in the way he had gazed at her, a disquieting tone in the way he had uttered her name, that left her feeling on edge. Yet, she set those thoughts aside, fastening her apron and diving into her tasks. The morning hustle was more vibrant than ever. Familiar faces occupied the booths, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and crispy bacon wafted through the atmosphere. Emma darted about, expertly balancing trays, replenishing cups, and welcoming customers with her signature warm smile. Yet, deep within her thoughts, an unsettling sense lingered that today was unlike any other. Then, just before noon, the entire situation shifted. A polished black car glided to a stop in front of the diner. It was more than just a car. It was an opulent automobile, the sort that Emma had only glimpsed in glossy publications. The doors swung open, revealing a man clad in a sharp suit as he emerged with an air of confidence. He straightened his tie and strode toward the entrance, exuding a confidence that caught the attention of onlookers. Emma hardly had a moment to grasp the unfolding events before the door burst open, and the man entered. All chatter ceased in the diner. Silence enveloped the room. Utensils met porcelain with a soft chime, and every gaze fixated on the newcomer. His gaze swept across the room until it finally settled on Emma. A subtle smile danced on his lips as he approached her. "Good morning, Emma," he said, his voice flowing with confidence. Emma felt a sudden rush of emotion. Though she had never laid eyes on this man, he uttered her name with an intimacy that suggested a deeper connection. She took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around the tray she held. I apologize, but do we have a prior acquaintance?" she inquired, striving to maintain her composure. The gentleman let out a quiet chuckle. "Not just yet," he replied, "but I am familiar with you." The words sent a shiver through her very being. The diner was steeped in an unsettling silence, with patrons feigning indifference as they cast furtive looks at the drama playing out in front of them. Emma adjusted her position, feeling a sense of unease. "Would you like me to bring you something?" she inquired, striving to maintain a calm tone. The man tilted his head in disbelief. "I am not here for dining. I find myself here due to the events of last night." Emma's hold on the tray grew more intense. "What happened last night?" The man gave a slight nod. "The man you assisted, the one in the tattered garments, is not who you believe him to be." Emma felt a sudden tightness in her throat. She had sensed that something was amiss, but this was a whole different level. "Who is this individual?" she inquired, her tone scarcely rising above a murmur. He observed her intently for a brief moment before uttering a word. "You'll discover the truth in due time," he remarked, "but initially, he wishes to meet with you." Emma opened her eyes wide. "Do you see me?" "Indeed," the man replied at this very moment. A chilling tide of doubt enveloped her. Every part of her urged a refusal to turn and leave, to act as if this moment was a mere figment of her imagination. Yet there lingered an undeniable force within her, a relentless quest for understanding, an insatiable desire to uncover the reality. She cast a fleeting look at her superior, who lingered behind the counter, observing with an expression of astonishment. He offered a reluctant nod, quietly allowing her the go-ahead. Emma glanced over her shoulder at the man in the suit. Where could he be? The man's smile grew just a bit more pronounced. "Join me," he said, motioning toward the door. Emma inhaled deeply. Unbeknownst to her, a world of surprises awaited, yet one truth stood clear. Her life was on the brink of transformation. Emma paused for a fleeting instant before ultimately venturing outside alongside the man in the suit. The gentle afternoon sun stretched its rays across the pavement, creating elongated shadows, while a soft breeze whispered through the rustling leaves overhead. She sensed the gaze of the diner's patrons upon her through the glass, their intrigue reflecting the tempest of feelings swirling within her. Her heart raced as she approached the glossy black car, uncertain of what awaited her. The chauffeur, clad in a sleek black uniform, gracefully opened the rear door for her. Emma cast a fleeting glance at the man in the suit, her eyes seeking reassurance, yet he merely returned a knowing look and nodded toward the car. Taking a moment to compose herself, she settled into the luxurious leather seat. The man trailed behind, gently shutting the door as he entered. Once the door clicked into place, the clamor of the outside faded away, giving way to a profound and unsettling stillness. The interior was infused with the scent of luxurious leather and an elusive aroma that tugged at her memory, yet remained just out of reach. The driver glided away from the curb, steering the car down the road with effortless precision. Emma nervously toyed with her fingers, casting furtive looks at the man next to her. He sat with impeccable posture, his hands delicately placed on his lap, his expression a mystery. The atmosphere was charged, the quiet lingering between them excruciatingly prolonged. "Where are we headed?" she finally inquired, her tone soft but resolute. The man tilted his head ever so slightly, observing her with a playful sparkle in his eyes. "Patience," he remarked. "You'll find out shortly." Emma furrowed her brow, choosing to remain silent. She shifted her focus to the window, observing the well-known streets slip by in a haze. Before long, they departed from the bustling downtown and ventured into an unfamiliar part of the city she had yet to explore. The structures ascended, increasingly elegant, with walkways adorned by meticulously pruned hedges and upscale shops. This was not a setting suited for someone of her kind. This realm was defined by opulence, affluence, and dominion. The vehicle finally glided into the entrance of a lavish mansion. Emma's breath hitched as she gazed upon the colossal edifice looming before her. Majestic columns defined the impressive entryway, while the immaculate white surfaces shimmered in the sunlight. A winding path adorned with graceful lanterns guided the way to the entrance, while the gardens enveloping the estate resembled a scene straight from a glossy publication. The driver emerged and graciously opened the door for her. Emma paused, sensing that she had entered a surreal realm. She glanced at the man in the suit, who signaled for her to exit. Taking a moment to gather herself, she let her legs dangle before stepping onto the refreshing stone driveway. Just as she was about to inquire about their location, the grand double doors of the estate creaked open. Emma's eyes grew large as the familiar figure she had waited on at the diner, the one clad in tattered garments, emerged. At this moment, he appeared entirely transformed. He wore a flawlessly tailored suit, his hair perfectly styled, and his entire demeanor radiated strength and command. The weary, unkempt figure she had felt sympathy for the previous evening had vanished. In his stead was an individual who drew focus with each stride he made. "Emma," he said, his voice steady but laced with an elusive emotion she couldn't quite place. She gulped nervously. "May I ask who you are?" she inquired, struggling to maintain a steady tone. The man offered a slow, knowing smile. "Step inside," he urged. "The moment has come for you to uncover the truth." Emma felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach, yet she compelled herself to respond with a nod. She had journeyed to this point. The point of no return had been reached. Her heart raced as she stepped into the estate behind him, blissfully ignorant of the profound transformations that awaited her, ones she could never have envisioned. Emma entered the magnificent estate, her breath hitching as she absorbed the soaring ceilings, the sparkling chandelier, and the gleaming marble floors that mirrored the warm light of the afternoon sun. The air was infused with the rich aroma of high-end cologne and blooming flowers, a sharp departure from the lingering grease of the diner that had been her home for the past few years. She sensed her disconnection, as if she were an unwelcome guest in a realm that was never meant for her. Yet she trailed behind the man in the tailored suit, her heart racing with each stride. As they strolled down the lavish corridor, her thoughts surged with inquiries. Who was this individual, truly? What could have prompted him to arrive at the diner in such disheveled attire? What was the reason for bringing her to this place? The intrigue simmered within her, yet she maintained her silence, poised for him to break the stillness with his words. At last, they stepped into a spacious sitting room adorned with expansive windows that framed a pristine garden beyond. The furnishings exuded sophistication while maintaining a warm allure, creating an atmosphere perfect for intimate, thoughtful dialogues. The man motioned for her to take a seat, and she paused for a fleeting second before settling into a luxurious velvet chair. "Would you care for a beverage?" he inquired, his tone steady and composed. Emma gently shook her head. "All I seek are answers." The man observed her intently for a brief moment before giving a nod of acknowledgement. He sat opposite her, his demeanor at ease, as though he had anticipated this dialogue. At last, he introduced himself, "James Whitmore. I manage several enterprises, engage in real estate, and oversee various charitable organizations. Yet, in the dim light of the diner last night, I found myself far from a millionaire. I was merely a soul in search of compassion." Emma sensed her heartbeat accelerate. She had her suspicions, yet the confirmation unleashed a torrent of emotions within her. "What is the reason?" she inquired. "What's the reason for feigning homelessness?" James leaned in a bit, his demeanor earnest. "I have been immersed in affluence for as long as I can remember. Wherever I find myself, the way others interact with me shifts due to my wealth. I was curious to observe how someone would behave towards me when there were no benefits for them. And you, Emma, showed me kindness, respect, and dignity. Your willingness to assist me, despite your own limited resources, was truly remarkable." Emma took a deep breath. I was simply following my instincts. A subtle smile graced his lips. And that is precisely the reason for your presence. Her brow furrowed, fingers clutching the material of her gown tightly. James let out a slow breath before he carried on, expressing his confusion. I have been searching for a person like you, a person with a kind spirit, a person who truly merits a chance. You pour your heart and soul into your craft, yet the opportunities you seek seem to elude you. I wish to alter that. Emma's eyes grew large with surprise. Could you clarify what you mean? I wish to present you with a new direction, James expressed. A position, a learning experience, anything essential to create the future you envision. Unencumbered, merely an opportunity to elevate. Emma gazed at him, wrestling with the meaning of his words. Could this truly be unfolding? A mysterious millionaire presented her with an escape from the hardships that had defined her existence. It seemed almost unreal. Why me? She whispered. James reclined, his eyes steady and focused. Because you embody the qualities that are truly admirable, and because our world would greatly benefit from more individuals like yourself. Emma felt a constriction in her throat, a tempest of emotions churning within her. This was the sort of moment she had only encountered in tales, the kind of opportunity that individuals fantasized about but rarely experienced. She inhaled unsteadily, her thoughts whirling with endless options. This was her moment, yet the question lingered. Was she truly prepared to seize it? Emma remained still, the resonance of James's words lingering in her thoughts. A position, a learning experience, an opportunity to create the future she had only imagined. It seemed surreal, as if she were immersed in a narrative that belonged to another. Her whole existence had been a relentless fight, with every single day presenting a new challenge to endure. Suddenly, an unexpected opportunity presented itself, a chance for renewal. Yet, beneath the surface, a faint voice murmured, was this truly real? Was it something she could rely on? She locked eyes with James, probing for any hint of dishonesty. Yet all she discovered was genuine honesty, a calm assurance reflected in his gaze. Yet, uncertainties began to surface. I'm at a loss for words, she confessed. This is just too much to handle. James nodded, as though he anticipated her moment of doubt. Take your time, Emma. There's no rush to make this decision at this moment. I want to assure you that the offer is genuine. Emma gazed at her hands, thoughts swirling in her mind. Transcended her alone. Seizing this chance could transform everything. Not solely for her own sake, but also for her younger brother, and for her mother. The relentless bills, the late-night shifts, the fatigue that felt perpetual. It could all soon be a thing of the past. What if it were an error? What if it was just a mirage, a fleeting glimpse of perfection that couldn't possibly exist? James rose from his seat and made his way to a nearby table, where he picked up a small envelope. He came back and set it down before her. Enclosed, you'll find my personal contact details, as well as a resource to assist you in beginning your journey. Emma paused, her fingers lingering over the envelope before she finally reached for it. With fingers quivering in anticipation, she pried it open and let out a sharp gasp. Inside lay a check bearing her name, a check amounting to $10,000. Her heart raced. James smiled, unable to accept this. This is not an act of charity, Emma. Consider it a commitment to your future success. Utilize it in any way you see fit, whether to settle bills, secure an apartment, enroll in courses, or anything else that will assist you in making that initial move. Emma's eyes stung with unshed tears. For the first time, someone truly believed in her. For years, she felt like a ghost, battling her inner turmoil while life continued to unfold around her, oblivious to her presence. And now, a total stranger from just days before was offering her a lifeline. But why? She inquired once more, her voice scarcely rising above a whisper. What motivates you to do this for me? James let out a deep breath, his face reflecting a contemplative mood. Having been in your shoes before, I did not come from a background of affluence. I found myself in a similar situation with nothing to my name. Yet, there was someone who recognized potential within me and offered me an opportunity. that has always stayed with me. Now, I aspire to extend that same opportunity to others." Emma gulped, feeling a wave of emotion tighten around her throat. This was genuine. This was occurring. She had lived her entire life under the impression that individuals like James Whitmore were oblivious to the existence of someone like her. The affluent and influential resided in a realm apart, insulated from hardship. Yet, here he stood demonstrating her mistake. She inhaled deeply and met his gaze with unwavering intensity. James smiled, unsure of how to express his gratitude. "Embrace a life that brings you joy. That will suffice as gratitude." Emma nodded, a fierce resolve kindling within her. After what felt like an eternity, she experienced a flicker of something she had nearly lost touch with: hope, and she was determined to cherish it.